What's up, guys? So I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about something called Ecom's Genie or Ecom Genie, something like that. It's by Stephen Mayer. It's essentially like an automation program for e-commerce. Last I checked, it's like $20,000 is like the minimum investment thing, which is a lot of money. One, don't get me wrong, but two, doesn't really get you a whole lot. So I just want to kind of dive into this whole ecom automation business model. The actual program, I'll go ahead and dive a lot deeper on my Patreon. But just as like a short version for you guys, the ecom automation business model is, I think personally, doomed to fail. At least the way that it's presented in the market currently. So if you have just like a crap ton of money, okay, one, I don't know why you'd be watching this video, but if you had a crap ton of money, you could absolutely do e-commerce, no problem. Obviously, e-commerce is a huge industry. Amazon, all these companies, they do e-commerce, right? There is money in it. The thing is the margins are so small, it's hard to do at scale. So what I mean is you have inventory, right? So let's say you get a spatula that's like super fancy, gold plated, I don't know, right? But, crazy example. Say it's $10, right? You're going to try to sell it, as most of these places will try to tell you, oh, you can sell it for $20. So that leaves you with the $10 in margin, right? You spent $10 on the product, you can try to sell it for 20, there's $10 there. And what people tell you is, oh, well, that's just $10 of profit you're getting. No, because realistically, especially with these e-commerce programs, you're paying the VA that is operating your account. You're paying ad spend for whatever advertising you've got to do. You're paying shipping. Um, you're paying all these like operational costs, and at the end of the day, your real profit margin is like 6 to 8%. So even in a regular e-commerce situation where you're doing all the work yourself, 6 to 8%. Here, it's basically the same way, except you're just not having to touch anything, which I get sounds great, but when you think about how much time it's going to take to recoup that investment, and here's the kicker, okay, we've seen with other programs like Ascend Cap Ventures, right? The kicker is that there is no guarantee that you make that money back. Sure, in the contracts, there's, oh yeah, there's this guarantee after X amount of time, you get your money back. Very few people actually seem to be able to get their money back. I know, and I'm not sure if Ecom Genie is one of these companies that does this, but there's different states in which you can incorporate the business where if there's like these like chargebacks and refunds are necessary, it's going to make it really hard for you to actually get them. That's why like when Ascend Cap Ventures basically went under or whatever the hell is going on over there now, I had lots of people reach out to me like sending me their contracts like, hey, this is what this was, here it is, like fine print, like I'm owed this money, and they just never really got it back. So going back to $20,000, okay, you're gonna use a good chunk of that to buy inventory. You're gonna then, pay for ads, pay for like this supplier fee, this VA fee, that VA fee, all this account management stuff. And then, right, they try to, in their marketing, they try to say, oh, and it's a profit split, so like we'll take X amount of split of the profits. Realistically, guys, they're taking a majority of the pie here, because the VAs, whatever they're saying that they're charging for the VAs, it's really just an arbitrage cut out of that, right? Because they're connecting the VA to some work. Obviously, they're going to take their cut of that. And then, yeah, they try to act like they're all on your side and that they're all, tied to your success by splitting whatever profit margins. No, I mean, frankly, after all the expenses, you should get what's left because they're already making money. I've even seen it where some of these ecom automation companies, and not saying that Ecom Genie is one of these, but I've seen ecom automation companies use their own third party like um, store essentially. um, they'll use their own third party store where they send these people to and bill them from, so they're getting even more money like that way. It's like it's just so messed up. Because ultimately you're throwing all this money for like a super small return, and I just frankly don't like that kind of business model. Like low margins, high investment, and then guys, you have to think about the operational costs. Okay, you're talking about thousands of dollars in operational costs each month. Like it's just I don't think it's the wisest choice, so I don't really recommend programs like that. Ecom Genie could have like crazy results, and it's like if that's the case and whatever you want to do it, go for it. For me, I just see it as too much of a risk. Too much expenses to possibly lose for something that may not work out to where you can't get a refund on it. So that being said, this is what I do, and this is what I recommend instead. It's called local lead generation. Basically, I built this website 5 years ago. It's still ranked number one to this day for its main keyword, even above the map pack here. And so basically what happens is if there's like, a storm and a tree falls onto somebody's roof, and like the tree just has to get removed because obviously, repairs need to start to happen at that point in time. They'll land on this site, go to it, maybe read a little bit of it. I've got a lot of informational content on here that would help them out. But basically, they click this number. Now, this number is forwarded on to a contractor that I work with who actually pays me for sending jobs to him. This is really common in the contracting space. This is known as a finder's fee. And sites like this are generally worth anywhere between $500 to $2,000 per month. And I want to talk about the margins here for a second. So like, what are the margins like? What's the overhead? So margins on this type of business model can be anywhere between like 80 to 90%. And the reason for that, using this site as an example, right? I pay $10 a year for my domain name. I pay about $15 a month for hosting, and $15 a month for my call tracking software, right? So easy math, even with just $500, shows you how much of a high margin business this is. What I also like about it is how passive it is, okay? If you're here for e-commerce automation because it's automated, it's passive, I'd argue that this is even more so because you have full control, which is something you don't have with e-commerce automation, but you do have with this business. Because I've built this site, like me and my dad, we built the site, managed it, haven't touched it in like 4 or 5 years, aside to maybe change the number a couple times. We build multiples of these sites, so we got like 5 to 10 of these things, which is somewhere you would probably want to be, because once you're around that 5 to 10 site mark, you are having cushy passive income that's not overly stressful. Some people try to like manage 50 of these things, and it becomes incredibly stressful, and you forget about the whole reason you did this in the first place, which was to just have some cushy passive income. So anyway, that's what I do. Been doing it for a while now. Hour or two after work on the days that I actually decide to work on it. If you want to know how I do it, go ahead, check out this link right here. I'll have it for you down in the description below. But basically, it answers every single question you could possibly have, including price, including the refund policy, which is exceptionally clear. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and check it out. If you want to see my full review on Ecom Genie, go ahead and check out my Patreon. I'll have that down in the description below as well. And if you found this video helpful, go ahead and give me a like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.